Justice Watchers, before we begin, I want to make this absolutely clear. The following broadcast contains public domain courtroom footage, commentary, and legal analysis. This content is presented under the Fair Use Doctrine as defined by 17 U.S.C. 107 and is protected by multiple Supreme Court rulings, which you see below. This stream is transformative, educational, and journalistic in nature. It includes original commentary, trial breakdowns, legal interpretation, and critical analysis, not raw redistribution. We do not claim ownership over any public domain footage, and all use is strictly within legal bounds. If you're watching this content, you're engaging in a protected, transformative experience, grounded in law, never in speculation. And if anyone has a problem with that, take it up with Campbell, Brady, Miranda, and Irvin. Remember, guys, justice always works better when we watch. So keep watching. See you in the courtroom.
The whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. Can you please state your full name for the record?
David Antonio White.
Okay.
Make sure you remember, pull that microphone in closer so that everyone can hear you. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Sir, are you currently employed?
Yes.
Where do you work?
Self-employed. My company is WRS Property Services.
Okay. Now, sir, do you know Ronny Walker?
Yes.
How do you know him?
We're childhood friends.
Okay. Do you see Ronny Walker in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Can you please identify him by an article of clothing and where he's sitting?
And he has on the glasses.
Okay. And can you tell us anything else about?
Gray suit.
Grace, may the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
It will reflect that identification.
Now, sir, just to be, by way of explanation, did you recently have, or somewhat recently have, any kind of health setback, a stroke or anything?
I had a stroke in November.
Okay. And has that impacted the way you speak?
Yes.
Okay. So can you please get a little bit closer to the microphone? And, okay. So you said that Ronny Walker was a childhood friend?
Yes.
So how old are you?
I'm 50.
You're 50 years old, and you have known Ronny Walker since you were how old?
About 12.
12.
And 13.
12, 13. Do you know a person named Robert Creed?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know him by a nickname?
Quincy.
Okay. How do you know him?
We all grew up together.
And when you say we all, are you speaking of yourself, Ronny Walker, and Robert Creed?
Yes.
Okay. So when you say you all grew up together, about how old were you when you began to hang out together and spend time together?
We never hung out together, but we In passing, we were all preteens.
Together?
Yes.
Okay. So, sir, back in May or so of 2022, did you speak to law enforcement about a case associated with Ronny Walker?
Yes.
Okay. Did you give the police a statement as to what pertained to your phone number and Ronny Walker?
Yes.
Okay. And were you provided an opportunity to look at video or video footage information about somebody who was at a convenience store?
Yes.
Okay. And I am showing you what is in evidence as E1. Have you seen this previously?
Yes.
Okay. E2, have you seen this?
You something this.
Yes.
Yes.
E3, different angle, but have you seen this previously? Or images
yeah.
from this video?
Yes.
Okay, did the police show you these images in May or so, or that time frame of 2022?
Yes.
Do you recognize the individual in these stills?
It looks like Ronny.
Ronny Walker?
Yeah.
Okay, State Exhibit E4. Who does that look like?
And anybody. Anybody.
Okay, so you don't know. Is that your testimony?
That's not clear.
Okay. Did you at any point previously indicate that you recognized that to law enforcement, that looked like Ronny Walker?
I said it looked like I'm on for sure.
Okay.
It looks like
Okay, so then to be clear for the record,
Yeah.
today your testimony is that it does look like Ronny Walker, is that correct?
look like
And for the record, that's State Exhibit E4, correct?
that picture don't look like him
Okay.
there. It looks like anybody.
Okay, so is it your testimony that it looks like Ronny Walker or it looks like anybody?
Anybody.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now, you said that you also grew up with Robert Creed, is that
Yeah.
correct? State Exhibit E5, do you recognize this individual?
Not from the back.
Okay, have you previously looked at this photograph and recognized this individual?
I say that looks like a taller version of Quincy.
Is that what you said to the police?
Yes.
Okay, so your testimony today is that when the police showed you this photograph back in 2022, you said it looked like a taller version of
Yes.
Quincy? Okay. And Quincy being Robert Creed, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. On May the 6th of 2022, were you in a four-door Ford vehicle with Ronny Walker?
No.
On May the 6th of 2022, around 3 p.m., were you with Ronny Walker and Robert Creed?
No.
Were you with either one of them?
No.
Were you in a vehicle?
I never were in a vehicle with them. Either one.
I beg your pardon?
I never rode in a vehicle with them. Either one of
Okay.
them.
Well, what was your name back in, what's a nickname that you go by?
Data.
Day, spelled D-A-E-D-A-E?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your phone number back in 2022?
The same number as
And for the record, what is that number?
813-785-7983.
Okay. So, Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
I'm showing you what has been pre-marked as 30B5. Can you look at it and tell me if you recognize your nickname and your phone number?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, at this time, the state would move into evidence state exhibit 30B5.
No objection, Your Honor.
30B5 will be admitted without objection.
Thank you. And so, to be clear, this number right here, Day,
Yes.
is a phone related to the defendant contacting you. Does that seem correct?
Yes.
Okay. And this phone related to the defendant contacts you a number of times. If you look at the column 12, 11, 8, 7, 6, correct? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. And these would have been, the time frame we have is May the 13th of 2022.
Yeah.
Okay. This individual right here is that you by any chance?
No. No.
What was your size back in 2022?
I was bigger than I'm presently.
Well, may I ask, what's your size?
250.
How tall are you?
5'11".
Okay. And did you at any point previously indicate that this was Robert Creed?
I always said it looks like a taller version.
Of Robert Creed?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Did you at any point go to Tampa General Hospital with Ronny Walker on May the 6th of 2022 around 3 to 3:30 p.m.?
No.
Your Honor, may I have a moment? I have no further questions.
Cross?
Thank you, Your Honor. You want these? That's me. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. White.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you today?
Yes.
All right. These photographs that the state just showed you in State's Exhibit E, I'll just put one up here, of an individual in a gas station. You stated today that that looks like Ronny Walker, correct?
Yes.
Now, Ms. Fawcett sent you these photographs to look at a couple of weeks ago, correct?
Yes.
And upon looking at them, you told her that you didn't know if that was Ronny Walker.
Yeah. This is a clear version.
Okay, this is
Yes.
okay. Well, when you told Ms. Fawcett that the photographs she sent to you didn't look like,
Objection, Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes. minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that.
All rise.
It's in.
You can be seated. All right.
Judge, can I ask that the witness be excused while we're having
Yeah,
this
just take your
conversation?
mic. I've heard the arguments. Is there anything? Is there any additional argument on
Can I just put my question clear on the record as to what my
that?
question
I
is
think you
going
made
to
it
be?
clear, but you can repeat it.
Okay, my question was going to be, if when shown these photographs, if he told Ms. Fawcett that he did not know if this was Ronny Walker, and then after stating that, if she gave him some details about the case, including the fact that Ronny Walker's DNA was found on this jacket.
And what was his answer after that?
And then his answer after that
Was the
is
same?
now the testimony today, which is that it looks like Ronny Walker.
He's always
So-
maintained that, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what he said in 2022. That's what
Hold
he
on,
said.
do we agree with that's what he said back then?
Can I take a minute, can I take a minute to look at the transcript, Judge?
I have the transcripts.
That's my position. He's always maintained that. She said the trial. That's what he's been trying. He's never said that. Not yet today. He said that looks like his wife. She said, he said it looks like. Let's get that picture of the transcript.
Sure, sure, sure.
This is where the detective shows it to him. Yeah, looks like Ronny, yeah, looks like Ronny. Dan.
But is
And the phone calls from the show.
They're showing it for,
How do you read that?
well, you can,
That's what I'm just trying to figure out.
nobody,
What's the
you said
transcript?
Tampa General,
Yes.
there is no time that Ronny Walker gets out of the crime. So it was always stored. And in fact, you asked in Detective Whelan indicated that to you in your previous email that he was showing Horton's videos.
Okay, all right, that's what I'm looking for right here.
Have we cleared it up?
Judge, no, I was just looking for the right spot in the transcript.
Okay.
It's a short transcript, I'm almost there.
That's all right. Copy that. I think it's still Teddy's hiding the shit. Just to the, my house is just the way else could read somewhere. You guys have power? Maybe. Pieces. Sure. There's one more deadline. I think I'm good. Shoot it out. Saddle. Well, Your Honor. Mr. Kimmerer, how we doing? Good, good. Good to see you. You too. John, how are you?
No, I have it right here. I'm just.
The thing, the stuff goes down to some sort of, so that it comes. Some clothes on the roof. And didn't fix it.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
but that didn't have anything to do with it. I'm telling you, something with the tag. So we call Scrabble on the phone. They go back and say, it's on speaker. Can't do it. So what's the time to call? Yeah.
Thank you, Judge. I'm sorry. I don't know why it took me so long to find that. The statement that he initially gave says that that was Ronny Walker and the photographs that was shown to him.
Okay.
He then changed his statement, so I was told, is that during the deposition, he said he told that when he was shown those photographs again in preparation for trial, that he wasn't sure if that was Ronny Walker. And then the testimony today is that it looks like Ronny Walker.
Well, so
And
it
so-
says Ronny Walker.
He said it's Ronny Walker, then he says, I don't know if that's Ronny
Does he say
Walker.
that on the record anywhere?
It's recorded. It is a deposition that was supposed to take place where the court reporter
Right.
could not appear.
It was recorded.
But it was recorded. It was very difficult because we did it through Zoom to accommodate the witness, and the audio did not come across very well, but I do have a recording of that. I don't think I obviously was not there when he spoke with Ms. Fawcett, but what he told us is that he told Ms. Fawcett that he could not say if that was Ronny Walker in the photographs.
Judge, I was actually present for that, but that is not how I took it, honestly. He said the same thing he said today, was that it looks like him. He said, I think she wanted me to say it was him, but all I said was it looks like him. And then she says, why do you say Ms. Fawcett? Well, it seems like she got angry with me because I wouldn't say it was him. I just said it looks like him, which is exactly what he said today.
In the fact that he said he looks like him, and that he was angry, and maybe he thought maybe she didn't want him to say it was him, but he didn't, he said it looks like him.
But I don't want to get into any of that, right? Like, all I want to do is just say that his prior statement when he saw these photographs was that he could not say if that was Ronny Walker. He then learned some additional information, including...
But that's not what they say took place at the deposition.
No, and it's not what happened with Ms. Fawcett either.
Well,
It turns her into a witness. She's gonna have to, now we're gonna have to call her to say, he came in and said it looks like him.
And that's what he said, that it looks like him. And he said the same thing that he said today, which is, That could have been anyone, as it pertains to the person in the black jacket.
And if he tries to say what she said, that's hearsay anyway.
Well, not if it's an effect on a listener, but again, I'm not
It
trying
has
to.
really no effect on him, because he still says it just looks
Same
like him.
thing.
I think the statements are different. I think that the statement that going from, I can't say if that's Ronny Walker, to saying today under oath that looks like Ronny Walker, I think that those are different
Saying
statements.
that looks like Ronny Walker's tantamount to saying, I can't say if that is Ronny Walker.
And, Your Honor, for the record, he said in 2022 to law enforcement, which defense counsel has, he specifically, and we have the transcripts of it, they show him the Thornton's video, he said, do you know who that is? Yeah, it looks like Ronny Walker, Ronny. What it looks like, Ronny Walker, damn, like Ronny. She has the same transcripts I have. She's listening to the same audio.
And what evidence do
I'm
you
not-
have that he said something different later on?
What he told me at the deposition, which he was under oath, Mr. Terry did swear him in, so that was the only,
Who else was at the deposition?
Mr. Terry, myself, Miss Bradley.
And you all disagree with what was said, and that transcript's not worthy of?
It's certainly not worthy of a
Well, then I
transcript,
think
Judge.
It's propensity for confusion for the jury outweighs any admissibility, so I'm gonna deny that.
I understand the court's ruling.
Otherwise, we have to call all three of you as witnesses, because you're the only ones there that are alive. Since we zoomed our way into unreliability once again, which amazes
I
me.
guess I will not be doing any witnesses any more favors.
All right, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right, you can bring them back in. Oh, and you can bring the witness back in as well. Welcome. Have a seat, we're gonna bring the three back in. Well, when we come in, we all have to stand up, so we're good.
All rise for the jurors.
Jury's back, y'all may be seated. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I ask you to be issued no testimony from anyone, no media, no discussion. Perfect, thank you. You may continue.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. White, where we left off, I was showing you State's Exhibit E. Now, you were previously sent these photographs by Ms. Fawcett, correct?
Yes.
And upon looking at those photographs when they were sent to you, you stated you were unsure, you could not tell if that was Ronny Walker in those photographs.
Yes.
Is it your testimony here today that the photographs look different to you, they're more clear, and that is why you are now saying that the person in these photographs is Ronny Walker?
Yes.
Okay. Can I have a moment, please?
Just a minute.
Nothing further. Thank you, Mr. White.
You read it?
No, Your Honor. Well, yes. No, Your Honor.
right?
He can be released.
Yes, thank you.
Sir, free to go. Thanks for coming.
Yes.
State, you call your next witness.
Judge, we would call, Natal Miranda.
Thank you.
Could you make sure you're close enough to that microphone so everybody can get that?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Can you please state your full name for the record?
Natal Miranda Jr.
Okay. And sir, are you currently employed?
I am.
Where do you work?
Brandon Mitsubishi,
Okay. And what is your job title?
General Sales Manager.
Okay. And sir, back in 2022, did you work somewhere else?
I did.
Where did you work?
Giant Motor Cars
Okay. And where is that located?
on MLK.
In Hillsborough County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in May or so of 2022, did you know a person named Ronny Walker?
I did.
How did you know him?
Ronnie worked for me for quite some time.
When you say quite some time, are we talking months, days?
Yeah, 6, 7 months maybe.
6,
8
7 months?
Yeah,
Okay. Do you see Ronny Walker in court today?
I do.
Can you please identify him by an article of clothing?
Wearing a suit and a tie right there.
Okay. Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant?
It will reflect identification.
Back in 2022, did you know Ronny Walker to wear glasses?
That I don't recall.
Okay. When he worked for you, what was his job requirements?
He did a little bit of everything. He was a lot guy, cleaned cars, did
A lot-
whatever we asked for him to do.
Okay.
He was a lot guy, lot porter, he did stuff personally. Whatever we needed him to do, Ronnie did.
Okay. So, at the time, in 2022, did Mr. Ronny Walker own a Ford?
I believe so.
I beg your pardon?
I believe so.
And did he get this Ford from Giant Motors? Do you recall?
I believe so. I can't recall.
Okay. All right. State Exhibit C1. Could this help refresh your memory?
Yeah, I recognize the car and my sticker.
Okay. And do you recall that being Ronny Walker's car?
Yeah,
Okay. Did it come a time that law enforcement showed up at Giant Motors?
they did.
Okay. And did they talk to you about this vehicle?
They did.
And was the vehicle present when they came in contact with you, or when they went to Giant Motors on May the 13th? Do you recall?
I don't know if the car was present at that time,
Okay.
but.
You don't remember?
No, I don't
Okay.
remember.
Was Ronny Walker there? Do you remember?
I don't remember the date. I mean, there was a time that they came and Ronnie Walker was there and I was there, yes.
Okay. And on that day, was the car there, this car that I've just shown you?
I think so.
Okay. Shortly before the police arrived, around May the 11th of 2022, did anything out of the ordinary, as you think back, happen as it pertains to Ronny Walker and that vehicle?
Were we speaking about when Ronnie came back and asked for his job back?
Well, was there a time he asked for his job back?
Yeah,
Okay. Was it a time that he quit his job?
yes.
Okay. Do you know what that time frame is in relationship to when you came in contact with the police?
A few weeks, probably.
Okay. A few weeks before.
Maybe a week before, a week and a half before, 2 weeks, he come back to work.
Okay. All right. Now, at some point, around May the 11th of 2022, did you note that Ronny Walker was doing anything in particular with his vehicle?
Cleaning his car? Is that
Yes.
what you're asking me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you speak to the police about that when they interviewed you concerning this case?
Yeah, they asked me if he, they asked me about the car and, if he regularly cleaned his car. Asked me several questions
Well,
like that.
give me a second here. During that conversation, did you tell the police anything that was out of the ordinary in the time frame that Mr. Ronny
Yes.
Walker used as he cleaned his car?
He cleaned his car.
Okay. What was it that was significant enough that you told law enforcement about, if you recall?
Objection to hearsay.
Do you want me to rephrase, or?
Just rephrase that question.
Did you talk to the police about Ronny Walker's behavior on May the 11th of 2022?
On that particular day or the day that they asked me? Are you speaking of the day he cleaned his car or the day he
I'm
asked me
asking
if he
you
cleaned
about
his
the
car?
day he cleaned his car. Was there anything unique or out of the ordinary that you ultimately relayed to the police about the length of time that
Yes, he took a while to clean his car.
Okay. Did he move the location of that vehicle? Did he park his car differently at some point?
Like I told him before, when they asked me
Well-
that question, there were times that he parked inside the lot, and I asked him to park outside the lot. So it wasn't irregular, but yes, he did park the car inside the lot.
Okay. And for that time frame, was that out of the ordinary?
I can't say if it was out of the ordinary, you know, I mean, he parked his car, sometimes there was, I don't remember if there was a bunch of cars outside to where he couldn't park outside. You know, because there's times that happened to me, or if that
So-
car, he parked it inside that time specifically.
Did you speak to the police around July the 13th of 2022 about this case?
I did.
Were you under oath?
They didn't tell me I was under oath, but they, you know, I can't recall exactly what was said at that day, but yeah,
Was
I
it-
mean, they come in and ask me the questions about the case.
Was it a recorded?
No,
It wasn't? Have you had an opportunity to listen to it at all?
No.
In trial prep? Okay, so it wasn't recorded? Is that your
No.
testimony? Okay.
yes, that
And-
I don't believe so. I mean,
Okay.
they asked me if I wanted to listen to it. And
Okay.
I didn't think I needed to because I recalled pretty well
Okay.
what I told the police at the time.
And at any point, did you say to law enforcement that you didn't realize, you know, that it was unusual the way Mr. Walker, you know, parked his car until after the fact, until later? Did you?
Objection to hearsay and improper impeachment, if that's what's attempting to happen.
Sustained.
Okay. Did Mr. Walker at some point begin or park his car in the northeast corner away from the entrance of the roadway?
A few times, but
Okay.
I can't recall the exact dates or when that started.
Okay.
Like I said, there were times prior that he parked the car inside, and I had asked him to park outside next to my car, but there were times that place was full. So I don't know if that specifically was, but there was times, yes, I seen him and I asked him to move his car outside, and he had parked the car inside the building, inside the gate.
Okay. Shortly before the police showed up at Giant Lots and shortly before you came in contact with them on May the 13th, did you see Ronny Walker cleaning out his car?
Yeah, I was made aware that he was cleaning his car,
Objection to
yes,
hearsay.
and then I looked and seen him clean his car.
Oh,
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I seen him clean his car.
Okay. And about how long did he spend cleaning his car?
You know, I can't say for sure, but, you know, it was more than an hour, you
Okay.
know.
At any point, did you indicate previously that it had been hours?
Possibly,
Did you
but I
consider?
don't know the exact time.
Did you consider it to be a particularly lengthy amount of time that he spent cleaning out that car?
It could be, but then sometime you detail a car and it could take 3 or 4 hours, so.
Okay. So was
yeah,
it
was
your?
lengthy time.
Okay. So is it your testimony that he was detailing the car or cleaning it out?
What's, at that time, at the time that I'm noticing him do it, there was no difference to me.
Okay. Did you bring that up to the attention of law enforcement? Did you give an interview regarding
So-
this?
They asked me about it the first time they asked about it because obviously my mechanic,
All I'm asking you
Okay.
is this.
Yes, of course I
Did you
did.
talk
You
to
know
the
I did.
police about the vehicle in
Yes.
question? Okay. Did you tell the police that you thought that Ronny Walker cleaned out his car for a lengthy amount of time?
yes,
Okay. Did you give law enforcement permission to even take the vacuum cleaners and such and
Yeah,
take them for further testing?
of course.
And it was based on information that you provided to law enforcement that they took those vacuum cleaners and such, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I am showing you what is in evidence of State Exhibit E1. Do you recognize the person depicted in this photograph?
Yes.
Who is that?
Well, there's other pictures too, because this particular picture, you know, I'm not sure, but it looks like Ronnie.
Okay. State Exhibit E3.
Yes,
Who is this?
it looks like Ronnie.
Okay. Have you seen Mr. Walker wear the same clothes or jewelry previously?
At the time, I believe so. You know, obviously a couple of years, 3 years later, you know,
About a week ago or so, did you indicate that you had seen
I
Ronny
recognize
Walker?
the shoes.
Okay, so State Exhibit E2. Do you recognize the person in this image?
The same person.
Who is it?
It looks like Ronny Walker.
Okay. Your Honor, may I have a moment? No further questions.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, when Ronny Walker came back to work for you, that was actually early May, May 2nd, 2022. Does that sound right?
Around about that time.
Okay. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, what you told Ms. Fawcett initially on direct examination is that it was on May 11th that you observed Mr. Walker cleaning or detailing, whichever word you want to use, his vehicle, the black Ford, correct?
I told everybody I don't know the exact date.
Okay, all right, so the May 11th, you're not...
Whatever the day he came back, I thought was the day that he cleaned his car. Whether it's May 2nd or May 11th, you're asking me something that happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Okay, all right, so we won't use specific date, we'll use time period then. So the day that Ronny Walker comes back to work for you, that's when you observe him cleaning his vehicle?
Right.
Okay, all right. And is that an unusual activity for someone who's working for Ford Motor Group?
Giant motor cars?
Giant Motor Cars?
No, there were times that I'd let employees clean their own car.
Okay. Can I have a moment, please, Your Honor?
Yes.
All right, and when you hired Mr. Walker to work for you in May, that was done, he was to do a number of activities on the property, correct?
Correct.
And one of those activities is to wash or detail cars, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and it is not unusual to take sometimes hours to wash or detail a vehicle, correct?
Correct.
That's a common occurrence if you're doing that kind of thing.
It is.
Okay. Nothing else. Thank you, sir.
Redirect.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Can this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Here you go, sir.
Thank you.
Statement, call your next witness.
Your Honor, at this time, let's say we call James Kwong.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Can you please state your full name for the record?
My name is James Kwong. James spells James. Kwong spells Kwong.
Okay. And sir, are you currently employed?
No, I'm not. I am a retired forensic analyst, specialized in guns, ammunitions, ballistics, and the forensic disciplines of firearms identification.
Okay. But sir, prior to your retirement, did you work for the Florida Department of Law Enforcement?
Yes, I did.
How long did you work for that establishment?
Approximately 19 and a half years.
What did your job entail specifically?
My responsibilities and duties are conduct examinations of firearms, ammunitions, components of ammunitions such as projectiles, spent casings. Conduct examination of firearms, function check, safety check, and test fire the firearms. Conduct microscopic comparisons of projectiles to projectiles, cartridge cases to cartridge cases, to determine whether they were fired in or fired from the same gun or not, and many other related duties.
Okay. So what is your educational background?
I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering and Technology. I received my Bachelor of Science degree in 1985 from Tampa University. Tampa spells Temple, Temple University in the city of Philadelphia.
Okay. And sir, can you tell us what is firearms and tool mark identification? What is that?
The primary objective of forensic firearms identification is to determine whether a bullet or a cartridge case was fired in or fired from a specific gun or not. And of course, there are many other related responsibilities.
Besides the educational background that you have told us about, do you have any formal training in this area of specialty?
Yes, I was previously employed by the police department in the city of Philadelphia. I started as a police officer on street patrol duties. After approximately 5 years on the street, I was transferred to the Forensics Science Center because I have a college degree. And I was assigned to the Firearms Identification Unit, which is equivalent to the firearms sections of FDLE. While I was assigned to the Firearms Identification Unit, I received 3 years of in-service training or on-the-job training in various aspects of forensic firearms identification. I was trained in the history of forensic firearms identification, the historical developments of firearms and ammunitions, laboratory examination procedures, identification of firearms, function check, safety check, and all other related testing. Also, I was trained in microscopy, using a comparison microscope to conduct bolus and cartridge cases analysis. I also was trained in serial number restoration, distance determination based on gunshot residues, many additional trainings. Once I completed my 3 years training, I worked as a firearms examiner in the city of Philadelphia for approximately 6 years. Then I retired. Then I was hired by FDLE as a expert in the forensic firearms identification as well as court qualified analyst.
Okay. As part of your job functions, do you have to analyze or do any testing on casings?
Yes.
And can you tell us what that is?
The modern ammunition is what we call a cartridge. A cartridge contains 4 major components. The first component is the cartridge case, some people call the brass. At the base of the cartridge case, there is a primer. Inside the cartridge case is gunpowder. And the last component is the bullet or the projectile that is seated inside the case mouth. And that is a cartridge case. That is a single unit of ammunition, a cartridge. A cartridge case is just one of the 4 major components.
Are you ever asked to examine cartridge casings?
Yes, that is most of my duties.
And for what purpose?
Well, first we have to determine the caliber of the cartridge case, as well as class characteristics that it was fired from a particular gun. If more than one cartridge case is submitted, I have to compare the 2 cartridge case against each other to determine whether they were firing the same gun or not.
And can that be done? How would you go about doing that?
Yes. The scientific instrument that we use is called a comparison microscope. Basically, it's 2 microscopes combined into one with 2 separate stages, and each stage holds one component or one item. It could be projectiles or could be cartridge cases. We compare them side by side, and we are looking for agreements or disagreements of individual characteristics. These are the markings that left on the cartridge case when it was fired from the gun. If the pattern match, that means they were fired from the same gun. If the pattern did not match, that means they were fired from different gun.
Okay. And how about bullets or projectiles? Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, again, the bullet or projectile is one of the 4 major components of a cartridge. The bullet is the component that, once fired, it travels down the barrel and out the barrel. First, we determine the caliber of the bullet. Then we determine the class characteristics left on the bullet from the gun. And again, if there are more than one projectile submitted, we will compare the projectile to each other to determine whether they were fired from the same gun or not.
Is it possible to obtain a projectile and it be of no value for comparison because of the condition that the projectile is in?
Yes. When a projectile struck something hard, the wall, the ground, bones, the skulls, the bullet will suffer damage. Sometimes the damage is so severe that the markings or the patterns of individual characteristics on the projectile or the bullet is damaged to a point that it could not be identified to other bullets.
But is it also possible for a projectile to be in bad condition but still can be compared against other evidence?
Yes, I have compared little bullet jackets to another bullets. So yes, depends on what type of markings and the conditions of the markings on the bullets as well as on bullet jacket fragments.
Okay. What about fragments, just fragments? Can you do anything with fragments that are submitted to you for further testing?
Yes, if the bullet jacket fragment, even if it's a tiny little piece, but if it contains sufficient microscopic markings, yes, we could make identifications.
Well, sir, can you explain to us what you mean by class characteristics?
Class characteristics are characteristics that belong to a group. or affirmatory. For example, you have two guns, the same manufacturer, same model, same caliber. They all have the same class characteristics. For example, the gun barrels. If the gun barrels has, let's say, 6 lands and grooves with a left twist, every bullet fired out from this gun barrel will have an impression of 6 lands and grooves with a left twist. Now, every guns within the same model, same caliber, same manufacturer, they all have the same class characteristics. So that means 6 lands and groove with a left twist would be a class characteristic that belong to many.
Okay. Well, sir, can you tell us what is meant by lands and grooves and rifling? What does that mean?
Well, if you look down the gun barrel or the barrel of a gun, please don't do this at home. You will see a number of grooves spiral from one end to the other end. They are either twist to the right or twist to the left. It depends on the manufacturers. The area between the grooves is what we call lands. Lands spells L-A-N-D-S. Together they are called lands and grooves, also known as rifling. The purpose of the rifling in a gun barrel is so that it would impart a spin to the projectile. So once you fire the gun, the bullet travels down and through the gun barrel. As it travels down the gun barrel, it will engage the rifling. If the rifling have a left twist, the bullet will follow the left twist. As it leaves the barrel, it will continue to spin, which will give it gyroscopic stability. The stability will give the bullet a longer range and more accuracy. An analogy is a football quarterback throwing a football. If the quarterback put a spin to it, in slow motion, you could see the football spiral. A right-handed quarterback will have a clockwise spiral. A left-handed quarterback has a left-handed spiral. The spiral is so that the football could travel more accurate in the longer range. If the quarterback throw the football without a spin to it, the football will tumble end over end. It would be less accurate and it will not go as far. So that is the purpose of the rifling. So when a bullet is fired through a gun barrel, it will pick up the rifling impression of the gun barrel.
Okay. So what are individual characteristics?
Individual characteristics are characteristics that are unique to one, different from the others. Pretty similar to your fingerprints. Even your fingerprints on both your hands, each one is different from the others. That's why they are called individual characteristics. So every gun has its own unique individual characteristics. So when a bullet is fired through a particular gun, that bullet will be marked by that gun with its ballistic signature, or some people call mechanical fingerprints.
So can you tell us about semi-automatic guns as opposed to revolvers?
Both the semi-automatic pistols and the revolvers are considered to be handguns. That means you fire the gun with one hand. The difference between a semi-automatic pistol and the revolver is what happened to the cartridge case once the gun was fired. A semi-automatic pistol is designed to automatically eject the cartridge case after firing. And for a revolver, after you fire the revolver, the cartridge case will stay in the chamber of a cylinder. When the shooter leaves the scene with the revolver, you would not see cartridge case at the scene because the cartridge case is with the revolver.
Okay.
So when we see cartridge cases at the scene of a shooting, that would be consistent with a semi-automatic pistol and not a revolver.
Well, sir, have you testified as a fire expert previously?
Yes, I have testified approximately 232 times.
And in what counties?
Many counties in the state of Florida, as well as in the city of Philadelphia, as well as the U.S. District Court in Atlanta, Georgia.
Well, sir, I'd like, tender the witness for voir dire.
No questions on that matter.
Okay, thank you. Sir, I'd like to turn your attention to the time frame of, I guess, starting May of 2022. You were still working for FDLE at that time, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And have you had an opportunity to review the FDLE reports that were authored by you in this case?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So back in, on May the 25th of 2022, did you receive submissions under agency number 221843991 from the Tampa Police Department?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What were the submissions that you received?
I received a total of 4 spank casings
Okay.
and 2 projectiles.
All right. And upon receiving these items, what were you tasked to do?
Per the FDLE SOP, I am to identify the cartridge case by the manufacturer, the caliper, and the class characteristics. And also per our SOP, I am to screen the cartridge case to each other as well as screen the projectile to each other.
When you receive these submissions, do they have specific property numbers from the police agencies, such as Tampa Police Department?
Yes, each item do have their agency item numbers.
And then at FDLE, do you also generate your own numbering system when you receive these items?
Yes, because normally the agency has item number there is 8 to 13 digits long. It's too long. So we use a simplified number systems.
Okay.
The reason why is that bullets and cartridge cases are pretty small, and we are required to mark each evidence with the case number, the item number, and our initials, so that the item could be recognized. So if the item number is too long, it's just not enough room for us to mark it.
Okay. Well, sir, in this particular case, you indicated that there were 4 cartridge casings that were submitted to you. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so can you tell us what testings you did on them and for what purpose?
Are you referring to the cartridge case?
The cartridge cases.
Yes. Well, first I identified the manufacturer, the caliper, and the class characteristics. All 4 cartridge cases were 9mm calibers. They have various types of manufacture, 4 different manufacturers in fact.
They all had 4 different manufacturers?
Yeah, it's 4 different manufacturers.
Okay. And did you, and I'm specifically referring to your June 2022 report, did you indicate that you did, they were microscopically screened?
Yes. That would be our first examination, is to screen the cartridge case to each other, and also screen the projectile to each other. Screening is basically a preliminary examinations. Once we complete our examination, send a report to the agency, and if the agency decided they want a full microscopic comparisons, they have to resubmit the evidence to us so that we could conduct a more thorough 100% microscopic comparisons.
So what, if any, determination did you make as it pertains to the cartridge casing during your screening?
During the screening, I determined that all four cartridge case has the same class, individual class characteristics, as well as similar individual characteristics.
Could you tell us the type of guns that would fire these cartridge casings?
Yeah, based on the markings left on the casing from the gun, because it has a ejector mark, that means it would be consistent with a semi-automatic pistol and not a revolver.
Okay. All right. Now, did you also receive projectiles or fragments in association with this case?
I received two intact projectiles.
Okay. And what did you do with them?
Again, I determined the calipers. Both projectiles are consistent with the 9mm caliper bullets. They also have the same class characteristics. That means they have the same rifling characteristics. So I was able to group them into one group.
Okay. Did you make a determination as it pertains to the projectiles? Any specific determination as it pertains to whether it be a 9mm Luger caliber or anything else?
Yes, based on the design of the projectiles, they are consistent with the 9mm Luger caliber ammunitions, which is consistent with the cartridge cases.
Okay. How about the type of firearms or name brands? Did you make any determination as it pertains to that?
No, just based on the projectiles, I could not determine whether it's a revolver or a semi-automatic pistol. Since the bullet traveled down a gun barrel between a revolver and semi-automatic, there's not much difference.
Okay. Did you make any determination as to whether or not the projectiles displayed rifling characteristics similar to pistols by Smith & Wesson and Ruger and other such?
Yes, based on the class characteristics that I measure of both projectiles, and I enter those specifications into a database, and the database provide me with a list of potential firearms manufacturers, and there were two, Smith & Wesson's and the Ruger.
Okay. Well, based on the screening and the testings that you did in June of 2022, did Tampa Police Department resubmit these items for further testing?
Yes, they did.
And to that end, did you ultimately test these items that we've just spoken of?
Yes, when I received the 4 cartridge cases and the 2 projectiles, I conduct a full microscopic comparisons of the cartridge case against each other and the projectile to each other. Based on the microscopic comparison using a comparison microscope, the 4 span casings were fired in the same gun.
Okay. And then as it pertains to the projectiles, were those resubmitted as well?
Yes, they were resubmitted, and I conduct a full microscopic comparisons using a comparison microscope. One of the projectile was severely damaged, and as well as that the 2 projectiles has different bullet jackets. One bullet has a brass jacket, the other bullet has a copper jacket. So it makes identification difficult, as well as the damage to one of the projectiles. So my conclusion is inconclusive. That means I cannot tell you whether they were fired from the same gun or not. However, I did not eliminate them to each other.
Okay. Were you able to make any determinations as it pertains to the casings in connection with the projectiles that were submitted to you?
They are consistent with the same caliber, which is 9 millimeters.
Okay. Well, sir, I am showing you what is in evidence, as State Exhibit 32B, 32A, and 33. Can you please take a moment and look at these and tell me if you've previously seen them?
I recognize 3 of these packaging by the FDLE case number, the item number, and my initial or my handwritings on the packaging, on all 3 of these packagings.
And are these in fact the items that you tested and made determinations on as it pertains to this specific case?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Your Honor, may I have a moment?
Yes.
I don't have any further questions.
Hey, can we make a 5-minute break before we cross, so people can stretch their legs and get a cup of coffee or some water?
All rise for your executive.
Oh, really? Just go right in and right with it. Any matters we need to address while we're, y'all may be seated right away. Any matters? Yeah. Yeah. TJ texted me. He was doing exactly what you said. That's the first thing that popped into my head. So, sit here 40 minutes. That's all. So I go to Black Rock, 216.
Ice cold. Ice cold.
Just keep periodically. Just we're paying.
Rolling around,
I think so. The rest of the I told Greg. It's like the die.
He goes,
The die
so when you get this car, I like this one Mitsubishi. He goes, he goes, nothing. He goes,
Yeah.
Because I told her to be here for us. Kind of slow down a little bit.
Very far, easy with the space out.
No, I'm all good, thank you.
So Benito drinks and he gets up and so he could come in, so he had a few drinks and he goes, I gotta ask you. Yeah, probably was. I got a problem. My neighbor, my grandparents' house back when something he goes through, and we found with his, that was a massive wedding. And they like up in his
which entails photography, latent fingerprint development, and evidence collection procedures.
And were you working back when this case was happened back in May of 2022?
Yes.
All right. Did you go out to the scene or do anything at the scene in this particular case?
No.
How many crime scene technicians are there that work at City of Tampa Police Department?
We're slotted with 18 spots.
18. And so do you all share responsibilities then? And so it could be 2 or 3 or 4 different crime scene techs will work on on the same case, doing different things. Would that be accurate?
Correct.
Okay. Did you get involved or were you tasked with doing anything in the case involving the death investigation of Nilexia Alexander?
I was.
And what were you asked to do?
I went to a search warrant at an apartment complex.
Okay. What date was this?
I believe it was the 1st of June.
All right. And do you recall the location of the apartment complex?
It was off of Lowry Court.
All right. And did you know anything about why you were going to this location and what the search warrant was about or anything like that?
When I was dispatched, no. Once I got there, Detective Wieland and Detective Neitlinger were there and explained what we were going to go in and look for.
Okay. And what were you, do you know whose residence this was or where you were?
No.
Okay. And describe for the jury, please, what the residence was like.
It's almost like townhomes, apartment style. You walk in and there was a living room and a kitchen on the first floor. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the stairs were to the left when you walked in, and then the bedrooms would have been upstairs.
All right. And did you go in with the detectives to conduct the search warrant?
Yes.
All right. And what did you see or what did you find when you were conducting your search warrant?
There was some clothing in the living room in a garbage bag that they had particular interest in and pointed it out, and that was what we collected.
The detectives did?
Correct.
Okay. And did you know the significance of the clothing or anything?
No, not at that time.
All right. And what did you do with, did you take photographs of the clothing?
I did.
All right, I'm showing what's been marked as State's Exhibits G1 through G4. Ask you to take a quick look at those.
Lost your paper clip.
Let's see. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
And what is it?
That's going to be the bag of clothing that was located at the residence, as well as the shorts that were in the bag.
And does this fairly and accurately depict what it looked like that day when you showed up to conduct that search?
Yes.
Judge moved to have State's Exhibits G1, G2, G3, and G4 admitted into evidence.
G1 through 4 will be admitted without objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to show you, or I'm going to may I publish, Your Honor? All right. So this is kind of the bag of clothing. Did you know whose house this was? I might have already asked you that. Did you know?
I did not.
Okay. Did you impound that bag with clothing?
I did.
All right. And State's G2, is this the bag impounded or taken from the apartment?
Yes.
And I notice it's on some paper there. Is this at the TPD?
Yes, this is back at my office.
Okay. And G3, what is that a picture of?
Those are going to be the shorts that were in the bag. You can kind of see them in the original photo on the top.
Okay. Back in this photo here?
Correct.
Or in that one too?
You can see them in both photos, yes.
Yeah. And then, sorry, this is G4. Is that the back of that pair of shorts?
Yes, it is.
All right. Did you do anything else with these shorts other than photograph them?
Just went through, made sure there was nothing in the pockets. I do believe a little piece of paper was found in one of the pockets, which was also collected. We went over them to make sure that there was nothing else on them, and nothing was of note.
I was about to say, so when you looked at these, specifically looking at State's photograph G3, do you look to see if you see anything, any discoloration, anything that could be considered blood?
Correct.
If you did, what would you do?
It would have been photographed, documented.
And would you do some testing on it to determine whether or not it is blood or?
Potentially, it would have, we would have potentially done a phenolphthalein test on it to see.
Did you see anything on these shorts that appeared to be blood in any manner?
No.
All right. And you looked at both the front and here's Jude 4, the back, and you did not see anything?
Correct.
And were those shorts taken and impounded into evidence?
They were.
Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 27. And ask you if you can take a look at it, open it up and look inside without showing the jury, tell me if you recognize it.
Yes.
And what is that?
It's going to be the pair of camo shorts that we just saw in the prior photo.
All right, does it appear to be in substantially the same condition as when you took it into evidence that day?
Correct.
All right, Judge, we would move to State's Exhibit number 27 admitted into evidence.
No objection.
May I publish, Your Honor? You're probably quicker with your phone. Other than the search of this residence, did you have any other work on this case?
No.
All right, Judge, no further questions of this witness.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
When you arrived at that apartment on Lowry Court, it was Detective Wieland that was sort of directing you as to what he needed to have done, correct?
Yes, it was Detective Whelan and Detective Nightlinger that were both out there in tandem.
And so you were directed then at some point to collect these articles of clothing, including the shorts that we just saw in State's Exhibit 27, correct?
Yes.
And you mentioned that you visually examined them for potential blood. Did you do any alternative light source testing or blue star testing on the shorts?
We'll use our flashlight and kind of side light it, which is an oblique lighting. It's a technique that would just, enhance if we saw anything there. There was nothing just visually to the eye, and if we were to blue star it, we could have potentially diluted anything. So at that point in time, it wouldn't have behooved us to do that, but no, nothing was noted.
So could have diluted anything. Does that mean like any kind of further processing that could have been done with the shorts?
Not seeing something on, not seeing a suspected blood on there. If we did spray it and there was potentially suspected blood, at that point in time, I don't have the capacity to necessarily test further because it might have diluted it. So at that point in time, our best forth for evidence was to go ahead and package it, and then if they wanted to do something with it later, they could have, meaning the detectives.
Right. If the detectives wanted any further testing on it, then those shorts were available to them. They could have sent those off for additional testing.
Correct.
You're not part of that decision-making process.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Were you ever requested to do any sort of swabbing for gunshot residue on the clothing?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Can I have a moment, please, Harold?
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing else. Thank you, ma'am.
Any redirect?
When was the last time you've done any gunshot residue testing?
On clothing, we do not do that in
Okay.
our agency on a person a few months ago.
So gunshot residue, you hear about it a lot on TV and stuff, but it's not something that's commonly done. Would that be accurate?
Objection to leaving?
Is it commonly done?
It is not.
All right. All right, nothing further, Judge.
All right. May this witness be excused?
No, yes.
No objection.
You're free to go. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Speak. Call the next witness.
It was called Sergeant Feldman.
set.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Can you please state your full name for the record?
Sure, it's Charles Feldman.
And sir, where do you work?
I'm a sergeant with the Tampa Police Department,
How long have you worked at the Tampa Police Department?
12 years.
And what does your job currently entail?
I'm a sergeant over the Marine Unit, Aviation Unit, and Dive Team.
What does your job description pertain to?
Sure, so I mean, there's a few different units there, but full-time, I supervise the Marine Unit. I coordinate events, operations, maintenance, training, do the same thing on the Aviation Unit. And then I also supervise the Dive Team, which is a collateral duty. Essentially, divers from all over the Tampa Police Department do that as a part-time job. So we're on call 24/7, 365. We can get called out for anything in water, dive related. We do subsurface and on the surface water operations.
Okay. And sir, do you have any prior law enforcement experience?
Yes, I was a police officer at the Vero Beach Police Department for about 2 years.
What did your, God bless you, what did your job entail there?
I was a patrol officer.
Okay. So I'd like to turn your attention to the time frame of August of 2022. Were you working in that time frame?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you in the same capacity that you are in now?
No, at that time I was a detective assigned to our District 1 Detective Division, and I was also still supervising the dive team.
Okay. Well, at some point, were you asked or tasked to do something by Detective Wheeland?
Yes, I was.
What were you asked to do?
So I was given information that they believed that a firearm was possibly thrown off of the Hillsborough Avenue Bridge into the Hillsborough River for a case that had occurred a few months prior. The details of where the firearm were somewhat vague. However, it was described that they believed it was on the eastbound lanes going over the bridge, and that the firearm was discarded in an unknown location, either on the north or south of that bridge.
Okay. So you just had vague information, but the gun could possibly be in the water?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you receive this type of information, do you normally just go out and set up a dive and then go look for items, or was this a unique situation?
I mean, I wouldn't say this is unique to any other call that I've had, but prior to putting together an operation for a dive, one of the first things that I'll do is I'll respond to the location to survey the site to determine what the plan should be going forward to conduct an effective search in that area.
Okay. And did you do that in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Had this been, I guess what I'm trying to find out is, had this been not a homicide, would you, and given the time frame in that the homicide occurred May of 2022, and you get word of this in about August, would you have still done the dive?
Most likely not.
Okay. So now, turning your attention to August the 4th of 2022, did you take any action as it pertains to this case?
Yeah, so on August 4th, I did put together an operation for August 4th. Myself and 5 other divers responded out to the Hillsborough Avenue Bridge, and we did start a search for the firearm.
How do you go about even beginning to do this process?
So, first of all, we have to determine, as somebody, this is a fairly large area. The bridge itself spans about 100 yards, and we don't know if it's thrown off the north side or the south side. On the north side of the bridge, there's a gap of about 40 feet in between the eastbound lanes and the westbound lanes that something could be thrown off the bridge. And on the south side, it's just wide open. Something could be thrown off. So we have to determine how far we think somebody would be able to throw an item off the bridge while they were moving in a car, which is the information that we got. And then we set up a search pattern based off of that. So the way that we conduct the search is called the Jack Stay search pattern. Essentially what happens is you take a weight, a large heavy object, weighs about 20 pounds, and then you take another weight, same object, and it's connected with a rope or a line connects it. And once we determine what the search area is going to be for that dive, 2 divers will go into the water on scuba gear, and they're both going to be connected to that line, and they're going to swim from one weight on the line. So one hand is going to be holding the line, and they're going to swim from one weight to the other weight, and they're going to be searching that area. Once they get to the weight, depending on the visibility or depending on what they're looking for, in this case a firearm, which is a fairly small object, they're going to move the weight relative to what they're looking for in the visibility. So in this case, the visibility ranged from anywhere from 0 feet, so 0 visibility, to about 5 feet of visibility. And they're going to move that weight based off of what their visibility is. So in this case, if you're in 0 feet of visibility, you're going to move it about 1 foot. If you're in 5 feet of visibility, you're probably going to move that closer to 4 or 5 feet. Once they move it, they're going to swim back down the line. And once they get to the next weight, they're going to move it again. They're going to swim to the other weight. They're going to move it again. So they're essentially zigzagging our search area. The benefit to this search is that they're overlapping the search area by zigzagging it. And with 2 divers there's 2 divers so that one, they can safety each other just in case there's an underwater emergency. They can help each other out. But another benefit that happens is that they're overlapping each other's search patterns as well. So not only is the search pattern itself overlapping itself, but the divers are overlapping each other as well. So it makes it an effective search pattern.
Okay. So how many divers total went out on August the 4th of 2022?
There were 6 of us.
Okay. And how long were you out there for?
We were out there for about 5 or 6 hours on that day.
And what amount of distance did you cover?
So essentially, you're talking about the bridge is about 100 yards. You're talking almost 200 yards linear of search area. And that line is 50 feet. So we're searching from 10 feet under the bridge to 40 feet outside of the bridge on both sides of that bridge. And we split the search area into 6 different areas. That day on August 4th, we searched what we thought and I thought would be the most likely place somebody would throw an object off of the bridge would be center span, which is the deepest area. We searched both sides of the bridge in the center span, and then we also searched the northwest side of the bridge on that date.
Okay. And did you find anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Based on that, did you continue a search on another day? Did you or your team continue a search on another day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What day was that?
August 12th.
And how many people went out for that search?
6 as well on that date.
How long was that search?
About the same time frame, about 5 hours.
Okay. And was this new area or ground, or are you searching the same location that you searched on August the 4th?
Same bridge, but we're not searching the same areas. So like I said, we split it into 6 different areas. On August 12th, we were able to complete the search of 2 more of those areas to complete five of the 6 areas.
And to be clear, you were the one who organized both dives on
Yes.
August the 4th and August the 12th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, on August the 16th, based on, did you find anything on August the 12th, actually?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And based on that, did you and the team, or did the team go out again as it pertains to this case?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Did you set up that team?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And is there someone who determines the location to go to and how the dive would take place?
Me.
That would be you?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you do that on August the 16th of 2022?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Were you able to attend the dive?
On that date, I did not attend it.
Do they answer to you after the dive, or what's the protocol where that is concerned?
They essentially report to me before, during, and after the dive. So even if I can't be on scene of a specific operation, I'm consistently updated.
So you are still the supervising sergeant?
Yes, ma'am.
On the case, okay. And with this dive, are we talking about yet a new location?
Correct.
Underwater?
This would be the 6th area out of the 6 grids that we broke it up into.
And did you find anything of evidentiary value?
No, ma'am.
Did you follow protocol in this case?
Yes.
Is there a specific SOP for these type of cases?
Yeah, we have IDPs within our dive team, but
Okay.
a lot of it falls under just proper dive protocols.
Okay, and did you complete your dive control sheets?
Yes, we did.
And can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, sure. So for any dive that we do, we complete sheets that document where we're diving, what depths we're diving at, what we're looking for, exactly what time every single diver went into the water, what their air pressure was when they went into the water, same time and air pressure when they got out of the water, We document what the surface conditions were, what the water temperature was, what the air temperature was, and all of that is just to ensure that we are checking every box for the case, and some of it also goes into safety in terms of time in the water and time out of the water with air pressures.
Okay. On August the 16th of 2022, did you find the firearm?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And sir, are there certain things that can determine the likelihood of success for a dive such as this?
Yes.
Can you tell us what those things are?
Sure. So, I mean, as I stated earlier, the conditions diving underwater in this area specifically can change, and we were diving in anything from 0 visibility to 5 feet of visibility. So at some points during this dive, the bottom is silty. When you're diving those areas, it literally becomes 0 visibility, can't see your hand in front of your face. So one of the huge things that makes an impact on whether we're going to find an object or not is called the last seen point. So our preference is always to have somebody who has seen an item go into the water, give us an exact location, and still it can be challenging to find that item. In this case, we did not have that, and we also had a 3-month time delay. And there are factors, there's so many variables that can affect the dive in a 3-month time period. There's weather systems that come through. You have currents. This is a tidal area, so you have currents that are incoming and outcoming. You have a dam that opens up near 40th Street. That affects the current. There's wildlife in the Hillsborough River. There's possibilities that could affect the location of an item. And with a 3-month time frame, it's almost impossible to predict if those variables would have affected where this evidence would be.
Now, sir, prior to this or subsequent, have you dived that same location for items of evidence?
I don't know if I've dove that specific spot. No, I don't
How
think so.
about the Hillsborough River?
Yes, very
Okay, about
frequently.
how many times?
50.
And in the 50 times, what's the percentage of you actually finding an item that was purported to have been discarded?
I would say we find an item on probably 70% of our dives.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that there's always something there, though.
Okay. You find an item?
An item that we're looking for.
Okay. And approximately 70%, and in most cases, are those a case in which you know the general area of where the item was discarded?
Yes, those are much more specific details. Just occurred, we have a witness, that drastically increases our likelihood of being successful.
In the time that you've been doing this work, about what percentage of times you find an item you're looking for, in which you have had a lapse of about 3 months? And similar conditions as this?
Very low, probably less than 5%, if not lower than that.
Okay. I would like to show you what has been pre-marked as 36E. Do you recognize this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how do you recognize that?
It is a diagram that I created.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move into evidence data exhibit 36E.
No objection.
Be admitted as 36E.
Yes, let's see about this. Now, sir, I'm showing you what is in evidence as 36E. Can you tell us, using this diagram, the areas, well, you created this, right?
Yes.
Specifically for this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us what you were trying to document as you created this?
Yeah, sure. So this is a Google image of the Hillsborough Avenue Bridge right at the Hillsborough River. And what this documents, it's not exact, it's estimate, but it documents the different search areas and the dates that we completed the searches. So the 2 boxes in the middle would be the center span of the bridge. That's
Can
what
you, do you mind standing
standing up,
up
sure.
and kind of
Yep, so-
pointing us in the directions?
So this is search area number 1, search area number 2. These are both completed on August the 4th. This is the center span of the bridge where the channel is. That would be where I would think the highest likelihood of the evidence would be located. From there, we move to search area number 3. These 3 boxes or rectangles were completed on August the 4th. On August the 12th, these areas, these 2 rectangles or boxes were completed. And then August the 16th, these areas were completed. In addition, this shoreline on this side was searched with a metal detector just due to the depths of it and limited visibility. Nothing was located in the shoreline as well. You can see that the boxes kind of go past the bridge. So we had a 50-foot search line. Essentially, we're swimming 50 feet this way, 50 feet that way, 50 feet this way, et cetera, all the way across. The reason that we start under the bridge about 10 feet is because when the item hits the water, it has the ability to move based on what the depth is. So the maximum depth in this location is right about 10 feet, depending on the tides. I wanted to ensure that if somebody dropped the firearm off the bridge, let's say they were not moving in a car, they just stood on the side of the bridge and dropped the firearm off the side of the bridge, it could potentially move 10 feet in any direction. So I wanted to ensure that we were completing a thorough search under the bridge 10 feet, 40 feet out off the bridge to make sure that wherever this firearm could have been thrown, we would be searching it.
Okay. All right, thank you. Your Honor, may I have a moment? I have no further questions.
Ross?
No questions, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Free to go, so you think.
Thank you, Judge.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would call Detective Sackrider.
Yes, I do.
Afternoon. Ms. Wassell, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Can you please say your full name for the record?
Nicole Sackrider,
And ma'am, where do you work?
Tampa Police Department.
How long have you worked there?
12 years.
What does your job entail?
I'm a detective right now.
Okay. And as a detective, you're a detective in the homicide unit?
Not currently.
Okay. Back in May of 2022, were you a detective in the homicide unit?
Yes, I was.
And are there specific functions that go with that?
Yes.
Can you tell us what your job entailed?
We get called out after a homicide occurs, and we try to investigate from the beginning. If we get notified right away, investigate the homicide from the beginning to the end of the investigation.
Are different assignments given to the homicide detectives in the unit?
Yes, we have different assignments for different cases.
Okay. Well, I'd like to turn your attention to May the 6th, 2022. Were you working that day?
Yes, I was.
Did you respond to a particular location?
Yes.
Where did you respond to?
It was on, I believe it was 100 West Block of Floribraska Avenue. It's a dead-end street.
Is that in Hillsborough County?
Yes, it is.
Why did you respond to that location?
My Sergeant Lipple, called me. It was about a little after 4 in the morning and stated that the homicide had just occurred and requested I respond to the scene.
Okay. And did you in fact respond as soon as possible?
Yes, I did.
What time did you get to the scene?
About 5:16 in the morning, so about 45 minutes after my call.
And when you arrived on scene, what did you observe?
There were already officers on scene. They had crime scene tape around the perimeter to make sure that no one goes in or out to contain the scene, and there were other supervisors and officers on scene as well.
Okay. And the moment you get to the scene, or even before, are you given specific assignments?
Yes, we are.
Were you given a specific assignment for this particular case?
Yes.
What was your assignment?
I was assigned to be the secondary officer, so there's a lead officer, and I work with the lead officer to investigate the case.
Okay. And as the secondary officer or detective, what exactly do you do?
Everything with the lead. We take primary lead of the case. We have other people that assist us if we need help, and we can assign them to help us out with whatever we need. Every case is different, takes us to different places, but so each one is unique, but we kind of know the overall what's going on with the case.
Okay. Upon arriving on scene, did you come in contact with Detective Whelan?
Yes,
Okay. And was he made the lead for this particular case?
he was.
Okay. And as lead, does he sort of direct the investigation to some extent?
Yes, he does.
But at Tampa Police Department, do you function together for the common goal of investigating the case?
Yes, even though we have different assignments, we all work together as a squad, which, we can kind of bounce ideas off each other, help each other out as needed. Like I said, each case is unique, but we work together as a squad, even though we have different assignments.
And so when you arrived on scene, did you make observations as it pertains to the scene, the condition of the body of Nilexia Alexander and such?
Yes,
Okay. And while you were at the scene, did you come in contact with witnesses?
yes,
And while you're at the scene, are you making sure that these witnesses are interviewed right there on scene?
yes,
Okay. And is Detective Whelan taking the lead, though, as it pertains to the investigations and questioning?
yes, he is. We work together.
Okay. Now, are all those interviews recorded?
Yes,
To the best of your ability, you see to it that they're always recorded.
that is correct.
And is it your goal to see to it that they're recorded at the time that the interview even begins? And in some cases, as you're walking up to the location?
Yes,
Okay. Was that done in this case?
yes,
And is it your goal to have these witnesses sworn to?
yes,
And was that the case?
yes.
All right. During this investigation, were you at the crime scene on May the 6th, early morning, as you have indicated, for quite a while?
Yes,
And did you interview the two individuals that were responsible for calling 911?
yes.
And what are the names of those individuals?
There's a Terry Maddox that we interviewed, and also Eric Walker.
Okay. Beyond that, at some point, did you come in contact with Alan Wallace?
Yes,
And did you interview him that day?
we did.
Okay. Moving on, was a neighborhood survey done that day by Tampa police officers?
Yes.
And what's the purpose of doing that?
As soon as possible, we like to get as much information. So we go to every house looking for videos, witnesses, any additional information that might help us with evidence.
And was that done in this case?
Yes,
Okay. And to that end, did you also go door to door trying to find video surveillance that might have captured anything as it pertains to this case?
we did.
Did you do that along with other officers, or did you do it only with Detective Whelan?
I did with Detective Whelan. Other officers did it before. Usually when officers respond on scene, they try to get information, so they might respond to some residences in the area, but we did that as well,
Okay.
Detective Whelan and myself.
And in this case, were there any videos that you obtained in which Detective Whelan was not around or didn't download?
No, I believe we did pretty much everything together in this case.
Okay. And on May the 6th, what did the bulk of your investigation consist of?
We did the witness statements, and we also, bulk of it was looking for additional witnesses or video.
Okay. And did you continue to work on the case consistently almost through the month of May?
Yes,
And as you would learn more information, would you follow up, you and Detective Whelan follow up with such information?
yes,
Okay. And as lead, is it Detective Whelan who would then take in all the information, more so than you, and kind of summarize in detail what work was done?
that's correct.
In this case, did you draft any subpoenas or search warrants?
Yes, I did.
Which ones did you do?
I did multiple. I did a search warrant for the vehicle that we located, the suspect vehicle. I did a search warrant for the infotainment center, which is like the information on the dash that you get for that vehicle as well. I did a subpoena for a phone number in this case. I may have done others. That's what I recall right offhand.
Okay. But even then, when those things are done, it's Detective Whelan that will then document in detail work that is done in this case. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And during your investigation of this case, was it necessary that you and Detective Whelan determine the identity of the individual that you had found at Floribraska and North Highland?
Yes.
Okay. And ultimately, did it come to pass that on the day of or so, she was identified as Nilexia Alexander?
Yes, that's correct.
Based on that identification, were you able to follow along and do further investigation in this case?
Yes.
Did a time come that you came in contact with Ronny Walker?
Yes.
What date was that?
Do you mind if I refer to my report?
You can use your report to refresh your memory.
I believe it was 9 days after the date of the offense, but I just want to check. We did multiple days of searching for video and
Would
looking
it
for
have
other.
been May the 13th? Can you check
evidence.
and see if that's correct?
Yes.
Okay.
May the
And
13th.
under what circumstances did you come in contact with Mr. Walker?
We responded to it's giant motor cars that's off of MLK in search for the suspect vehicle we had. We know that it was rented or purchased from that area. And so we responded there and we observed the vehicle, and at that point, we made contact with Mr. Walker.
Okay. And when you made contact with Mr. Walker, was he in possession of this Ford?
Yes, he was.
Okay. And did you do anything, you and other law enforcement officers? Did you do anything to preserve that vehicle?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And was Mr. Walker with that same vehicle, that Ford Fusion?
Yes, he wasn't on the premise. He wasn't inside the vehicle when we made contact.
Okay. Did he acknowledge that it was his?
Yes.
In your presence?
Yes, he did.
Okay. On that day, when you came in contact with Mr. Walker, was he wearing glasses?
No.
Okay. I'm showing you what has been pre-marked as state exhibits F1 through 3. You're recognized person depicted here.
Yes.
Okay. And who do you recognize this to be?
I recognize that as Mr. Walker.
Okay. And do you see him in court today?
Yes, I do.
Can you please point him out by an article of clothing?
Is a white shirt and a jacket.
May the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
It will reflect identification.
Okay. When you came in contact with Mr. Walker, was he the person in possession of the Ford Fusion?
Yes, he was.
Was Robert Creed there with him?
No, not at that time.
Did you and other law enforcement officers secure the vehicle?
Yes, we did.
And then what did you do with that vehicle?
There's an officer that follows the vehicle from the tow truck. It's sealed by the crime scene technician to make sure that the inside's secure. And then an officer will follow it with the tow company to our impound lot where it's secured.
And was that done
Yes,
in
it
this
was.
particular case?
Yes.
Okay. And then did you and Detective Whelan obtain a search warrant for the vehicle?
Correct. I authored a search warrant that was signed by the judge, and then we executed it that same night.
Did you properly execute it? Did you read the search warrant to the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. And was that search warrant executed on May the 13th of 2022 or thereabouts?
I believe it went into the night. I know that we worked a very long day, and we didn't get home till 4 or 5 in the morning. It was very long, so it was either that night of or the morning of. It could have flown
Okay.
in between.
Were you present when the vehicle was searched?
Yes, I was.
Were you present when it was processed?
Yes.
Was it processed for blood?
Yes.
Okay. And based on the information from the processing of that vehicle, were swabs collected from that vehicle?
Yes, there were multiple swabs that were collected.
Is it customary to send those items, the swabs, to FDLE?
Yes.
Was that done in this case?
Yes.
were items that were inside the vehicle also documented, collected, and packaged?
Yes.
In the vehicle, was there a jacket, a black jacket?
Yes, there was.
Okay. Did that jacket later on become relevant to this case?
Yes.
Okay. I am showing you State Exhibit B 1 through 6. Can you please look at
Thank you.
the assignment? Is this an accurate depiction of the photograph of the car that you came in contact with on May the 13th?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, moving into evidence State Exhibit B 1 through 6.
It would be admitted as B1
Thank you. All right, publishing F1, is this as Mr. Walker appeared on May the 13th?
Yes.
Okay. Did you note any injury to him? Where there's, do you remember?
I don't recall.
Okay. State Exhibit F2 and State Exhibit F3. Mr. Walker?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Judge, I'm sorry, I think there's some confusion as to the exhibit numbers. B1 through 6 should be photographs of the vehicle.
This is F I'm publishing.
think those have been admitted.
or 6.
I just did. I thought I admitted this.
Referenced them, but you didn't ask them.
I apologize.
Okay.
I move into evidence State Exhibit F1 through 3.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
F1 through 3 will be admitted.
Okay. I move into evidence, if not done, State Exhibit B 1 through 6.
Those are admitted.
Okay. Permission to publish?
Granted.
Okay. State Exhibit B1. Is this at the Giant Motors lot?
Yes, it is.
And this is how you found the vehicle, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And was it documented at location?
Yes.
B2?
Yes.
Okay. B3?
Yes, on the vehicle.
Are you familiar with this make and model of a vehicle?
I am.
How so?
Our detectives drive Ford Fusions, similar style, so it's very familiar. A lot of detectives are driving those in our department.
Okay. B5?
Yes.
Now, when you were B6?
Yes.
Okay. When you were reviewing, well, you mentioned that you and Detective Whelan looked for video ad nauseum, correct?
That is correct.
And is it safe to say that in this particular case, Tampa Police Department collected numerous videos?
Yes, that's correct.
And were some deemed to be relevant for this case?
Yes,
But then ultimately, there were some that became quite relevant. Is that correct?
that is correct.
All right. And so in reviewing these photographs, you said that some of your detectives have driven this exact make and model. Is that correct?
Yes.
Have you ever driven one?
Yes, multiple.
Okay. Do you know if Detective Whelan has ever driven one? Do
Yes.
you know?
I believe he still does.
Okay. So with that, in reviewing the vehicle from the crime scene, I'm specifically directing you to that 3000 North Highland video in which you see the vehicle go to this location and then turn around at the dead end. Do you know the one I'm speaking of?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Were you able to review that video with Detective Whelan?
Yes.
Did you make a determination as to the make and model of the vehicle?
It appeared to be a Ford Fusion.
Okay. And was this in sync with the information that you had learned from Alan Wallace?
Yes.
Okay. So as you continue to review, to work on this case, did there come a time in which, well, specifically, first on May the 13th of 2022, did you obtain a buckle swab from the defendant, Ronny Walker?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And I am showing you And did a crime scene investigator, was a crime scene investigator present when this was done?
Yes,
Okay, but you have personal knowledge of that being done?
correct.
Okay, and was it done by Miss Calderero?
That is correct.
Okay, showing you State Exhibit 26, is this the packaging and the information as it pertains to this case for that buccal swab?
Yes, it is.
Okay, Your Honor, the state would move into evidence State Exhibit 26.
No objection.
Okay, showing you.
Six will be amended.
Thank you. Showing you State Exhibit 24, is this the packaging and information as it pertains to Robert Creed?
Yes, it is.
And did you come in contact with Robert Creed during the investigation of this case?
Yes, I did.
Did you personally package and collect the DNA for Mr. Creed?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, moving into evidence State Exhibit 24.
No objection.
It will be amended to states 24 without objection.
Okay, thank you. As it pertains to DNA swabs, how does one go about collecting a sample DNA from an individual?
There are two swabs. It's almost like a Q-tip, and then you place it into the back, like the molars, the gum area of the mouth, and you wipe against the cheek, and the DNA will be extracted onto the Q-tip and placed in a secured, it's a cardboard box, and then it's all placed into evidence from there after it dries.
Okay. And is the goal to do this, to test this DNA against other possible evidence in the case?
That is correct.
Okay. And was protocol followed in this particular case?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we have talked about a particular jacket that was in the Ford Fusion. You were present during the search of that vehicle, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Showing you what is in evidence as State Exhibit C-34. Is this that jacket?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your understanding about the date of May the 6th of 2022? Was it a particularly cold day? You were out there, correct?
Correct.
Was it a cold day?
No.
Did you wear a jacket that day?
Definitely not.
Okay. Now, in your review of videos, I know that you and Detective Whelan collected multiple videos. What was the goal of collecting videos and going from location to location?
In this case, we were looking for a path of travel, the ingress and the egress, to find out possibly where the vehicle had come from, where it went afterwards, if it stopped anywhere, we can get additional video of the occupants of the vehicle.
And did you ultimately get a distance and the direction of travel of this vehicle?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And did you and Detective Whelan document that in a map?
Yes, we did.
Okay. In that, to that end, did you come upon the location of a Thornton's on Hillsborough Avenue?
Yes.
Did video from that Thornton's become relevant to this case?
Yes.
Okay. Was there anything significant about that video as we discussed the jacket that we just talked about?
Yes.
Okay. Now, during your investigation of this case, did you and Detective Whelan become aware of a phone number that would have been associated with Nilexia Alexander?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And did you and Detective Whelan seek to obtain a copy of that 911 call?
Yes.
And is the date for that 911 call April the 23rd of 2022?
That is correct.
Okay. And with that information, did you and Detective Whelan then seek to obtain CDRs and a search warrant for that phone number?
Yes.
Okay. Was that search warrant or subpoena executed in this case?
It was.
Based on the information that you learned from, you and Detective Whelan learned from that phone, did that open up the case more and bring more information to your attention?
It did.
Okay. And is that something that you and Detective Whelan worked on together?
Yes.
Ultimately, did the phone records associated with Nilexia Alexander lead you and Detective Whelan to go to the location of Tampa General Hospital?
Yes, it did.
Okay. And what was it that caused you and Detective Whelan to go to that location?
It's called the time in advance. It shows where, in general location, where the phone is bouncing off the different towers. So it kind of travels along as the phone is moving throughout the area. Not exact, but in a general location.
Okay.
And at some point, that phone was at Tampa General Hospital, which is an island. If you're familiar with the area, it's kind of an island, so only so much land there. Not a lot of houses around there because it's surrounded by water. And so it showed us that specific area, so that's why we responded to the hospital.
And when you responded to that hospital, did you and Detective Whelan request anything there?
Yes, we spoke with the employee there that provided us access to the video surveillance, which the hospital has pretty good video surveillance cameras there, so we were able to review those.
And are any of the video surveillance systems from Tampa General, do any of them actually capture license plates?
Yes, they have one at the exit that captures the license plates as the vehicles are exiting the hospital.
And based on what you and Detective Whelan reviewed, did you collect video from there?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And did you make contact with other witnesses based on the video from Tampa General Hospital?
Yes.
Okay. Was there anything significant about the front passenger that you observed from the Thornton's video and from the Tampa General Hospital?
The front passenger in both videos appeared to be the same build and also wearing the same clothing.
Subsequent to you finding and collecting that video, did you ultimately identify that person, Robert Creed?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And based on were you present when Robert Creed was interviewed for the very first time in association with this case?
I recall at the jail, we had an interview.
Okay. And in his initial interview to law enforcement, based on the answers that he provided, ultimately, was Mr. Creed charged with accessory after the fact to first-degree murder?
Yes, he was.
Okay. Would that have been before Ronny Walker was charged or after? Do you know?
I recall it after, but I don't remember the exact dates.
Will your report or the reports for this case help refresh your memory?
Yes, it would.
Okay. Do you have a
Yes,
copy?
do you mind if I
Okay.
refer?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
It would be on the 28th of July.
That what happened?
Is when we interviewed Mr. Creed.
Okay. Do you know when he was charged?
I believe it was around that date.
Okay.
On
And
or
how
around
about
the
Mr. Walker?
That was prior. What's the exact date? Sorry, I have a lot of dates on here.
It's okay.
I don't have the date of the warrant. so-
Okay. All right. We'll move on. But Detective Whelan would have been in charge of most of that. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So ultimately, Mr. Creed was charged with accessory after the fact. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that is correct.
Okay. And in any of the footage that you looked at any point in time, did you receive any video footage of Robert Creed, the person that you now know to be Robert Creed, in the driver's seat of the vehicle?
No, I did not.
Okay. Is there any additional information that you completed in this case that Detective Whelan was not associated with?
No, the warrants that I wrote and the subpoenas, I wrote them, but he also helped collect the evidence or the results from that. Other than that, we worked together on the case.
Okay. Your Honor, may I have a moment, please?
Yes, ma'am.
No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Yes, Cross?
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello.
I'll actually just pick up where Ms. Fawcett left off. She asked you about Mr. Creed being charged with accessory after the fact, correct?
That is correct.
What was the probable cause to charge Mr. Creed with accessory after the fact?
In this case, we had him on video directly after the homicide occurred, within a few miles of the scene at the Thornton's gas station. And also the following day, or I guess it'd be the same day, just later in the afternoon, he was also on video in the same vehicle, same location of the vehicle, traveling around after it occurred. So he's been with him the entire time, and has not, attempted to get help, attempted to disclose any of the information during that time.
So essentially, the probable cause was that Mr. Creed was with the vehicle that was believed to be associated with Nilexia's death.
That is correct.
Okay. When Mr. Creed was interviewed, you were present during that July interview, correct?
Correct.
And that's the one that happens at the Pinellas County Jail?
That is correct.
During that interview, there was discussions with Mr. Creed about the charges that he would be charged with in this case. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall him being informed that if he hadn't told you Mr. Walker was the shooter, he was going to be charged with murder?
I don't recall that.
You don't remember that? Do you recall several times during that interview you asked Mr. Creed to tell you, like he's telling a story, what happened to Nilexia Alexander? Do you remember asking him multiple times?
Yes.
Do you also remember every time you asked him that, the only thing Mr. Creed would say is everything that what Detective Whelan said is what happened? Do you remember him saying that?
Can you rephrase what you're saying?
Sure,
I don't
let
understand.
me use quotes, actually. Do you recall when Mr. Creed was asked to give you a story about what happened, he responded, everything y'all are saying, that's what happened. Do you remember him saying that?
Yes. I guess if he said that, I don't recall the context.
Okay. Do you remember him saying that over and over and over again throughout that interview?
No, I don't recall that being a repetitive thing.
You don't remember that?
No.
Do you remember the details of that interview much? Let me start there.
Yes.
Okay. If you saw a transcript of that interview, would that help refresh your recollection as to the number of times Mr. Creed said, everything that you all are saying is what happened? Would that help you?
Yes, you can give me the number.
Okay. And would it be more helpful for you to read the entire thing or for me to just point you to the specific locations?
You can point me to the
Okay,
specifics.
all right, let me provide you with that, and then I'll point you to the specific locations to read.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, it was right underneath my computer. Okay, let me direct you to page 6, line 18. You can have a look and review that and let me know if that refreshes your recollection.
Yes.
Page 6, line 40, if you can have a look at that and let me know if that refreshes your recollection.
Yes.
Page 7, lines 2 through 7, if you can have a look at that. And let me know if that refreshes your recollection.
Yes.
Page 8, starting at line 32.
Starting at, finishing at,
Line 32.
just line 32?
Let me tell you where to go from there. All right, line 32. I'm sorry, line 29 through line 32. Does that help refresh your recollection as to whether Mr. Creed repeatedly said, my story is exactly what he said?
Yeah, this is said a few times that you pointed out.
Right, right. So essentially every time someone was asking Mr. Creed, tell us the story of what happened, he was essentially saying whatever Detective Whelan said, that's what happened. Is that the sum of what's going on there?
And that's why we asked them multiple times. We want to know from you, your words, the truth of what happened.
Of course, of course. Okay. You referenced a few times a report that you have. Is that common for detectives and law enforcement officers to write a report with regard to their involvement in this case?
Yes.
And when you write a report, that report is provided to the state attorney's office as well as to defense counsels, correct?
Yes.
And of course, the report that is provided to defendants such as Mr. Walker and Mr. Creed, correct?
Yes.
And that report details all of the steps that are taken during your investigation, correct?
That is correct.
In theory, that's what it's supposed to do, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You wrote a pretty lengthy report in this case, correct?
It was 16 pages.
16 pages. And Detective Whelan did the same, correct?
I believe his was a little bit longer.
Probably a little bit longer. He was the lead detective, right?
Correct.
Okay. You mentioned that there were several other interviews that you were present for the early morning hours of May 6th, shortly after the shooting, correct?
Yes.
Now, when you interview witnesses, would you agree with me that it is important to separate them so they don't overhear what one another is saying?
Yes.
Is it equally as important not to give the witness too much detail because you want to know from them what happened?
Correct.
May I have a moment, please, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
couple of additional questions. You mentioned that you met with Mr. Walker along with Detective Wieland on May 13th of 2022, correct?
Yes.
That was a pretty lengthy meeting that you had with Mr. Walker, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, it spanned over multiple hours, and you all even went to multiple locations.
Correct.
And you went from, I believe, his place of employment to a shopping center, and then ultimately to a district office for additional information, correct?
Yes, I was not present at the shopping center, but the other two I was.
Okay, all right. Mr. Walker voluntarily responded and provided information every step of the way, correct?
Yes.
You also mentioned that you were present for the taking of his buccal swab, right?
Yes.
And Mr. Walker was volunteering, willing and able and cooperative in providing that buccal swab.
Correct. He provided consent.
Same with the car. He was willing to provide you all, I mean, I'm sure he wasn't happy about it, but willing to provide you all with the car to take with you.
That is correct.
And he also had a phone in his pocket that he provided or gave to you, or Detective Wieland.
Yes.
While you were investigating the case along with Detective Wieland, were you aware that there were certain articles being written up in the press about the case and the investigation?
I don't recall.
You don't recall?
No.
Do you recall seeing or hearing, and I don't want to know what it was said if you do, but seeing or hearing about any interviews given by Nilexia Alexander's mother in the press?
No, I don't watch the news or read the paper, so
Okay.
That wasn't anything I was privy to.
Okay, all right. Can I have a brief moment, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing else. Thank you, ma'am.
You ready?
Yes, sure, thank you. You have been asked about the conversation that you and Detective Whelan had with Robert Creed.
Yes.
Was there anything in the investigative method in which you interviewed Robert Creed that was inappropriate based on protocol?
No.
And even under the law, is it permissible for a law enforcement officer and a detective such as yourself to tell a witness the ramifications of their actions?
Yes.
And was it necessary for you to allow Mr. Creed to tell you what happened?
Yes.
And during that interview, the first interview with Mr. Creed, did he in fact lie to you?
Yes.
Okay. Did he identify himself as a possible person who was in the video at Thornton's and at Thornton's? Do you remember?
I remember him saying it looked like him. I don't recall if he actually identified himself.
Okay. But ultimately, did he admit to being present at the time of the homicide of Nilexia Alexander?
Yes.
Later on he did, but in the first interview, did he lie about that?
Correct, during the first interview.
Is it permissible for one to lie during the investigation of a premeditated first-degree murder case? Is it permissible to do so?
Yes, it happens frequently.
Is it permissible under the law to do so?
No.
Okay. And based on the fact that Robert Creed lied to you and to Detective Wieland about Ronny Walker and his involvement, was that an obstruction in the investigation in this case?
Yes, it was.
Was it to that end that he was then ultimately charged with accessory after the fact?
That is correct.
And based on the evidence that you had and still have today, did you have any evidence that would link him to the actual homicide?
No.
The shooting? Okay.
We do not.
Are you familiar with the principal theory?
Yes.
Okay. Based on the principal theory, the person who drove to that location and drove away from that location, would that person have been, even if not the shooter, a principal to first-degree murder?
That is-
Objection, Your Honor, to relevance and improper.
Ultimately, in this particular case, is it based on the lie that Robert Creed told that he was arrested for accessory after the fact?
That is correct.
Okay. And would hearing dates of the arrest help possibly refresh your memory as to the arrest dates in this case?
Yes.
So if the arrest date for Ronny Walker was July the 6th of 2022, does that sound correct?
Yes.
And if the arrest date for Robert Creed was July the 27th of 2022, does that sound correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Now, while you were investigating this case with Detective Whelan, did you come in contact with a person named David White?
Yes.
Did you ultimately learn that his nickname was Day Day, or D-A-E-D-A-E?
Yes.
Okay. And to that end, did you and Detective Whelan make contact with that individual?
We did.
During that conversation with Mr. White, did he identify Ronny Walker as the individual in the Thornton's video?
Yes, he did.
In that same interview, did David White identify Robert Creed as the individual coming out of this vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. And did Mr. White specifically tell you that he grew up with both of them?
Yes, he did.
Objection to hearsay.
Goes to impeachment.
Sustain, I'll rule the objection.
Okay. Did he specifically tell you, back then in 2022, when you interviewed David White, did he specifically tell you that they all grew up together?
Yes, he did.
Did he specifically tell you that Robert Creed and Ronny Walker were often together?
Objection to hearsay as well as leading.
Goes to impeachment, Your Honor.
If you could rephrase it, I'll allow it.
Okay. What did Mr. White tell you about the relationship between Robert Creed and Ronny Walker?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
He stated that they were together often, that they're known to be friends.
Okay. Did you and Detective Whelan show David White photographs from the video from Thornton's?
Yes, we did.
And what did Mr. White say as to the identification of the individual depicted in State Exhibit E1?
In that picture, that's the entrance of Thornton's. He stated that that's Ronny Walker.
Okay. I mean, to be clear, he said, yeah, that's Ronny, and then he said it looks like him, correct?
Yes.
Okay. State Exhibit E4. And again, you're actually showing the video, correct?
Correct.
Okay, because at that point, you guys are still in the investigation.
And these are still shots from the video?
Are these still shots that were shown as well to these witnesses?
Yes.
Was this shown to David White?
Yes.
And did David White identify Ronny Walker from this video?
Yes, he did.
Did you come in contact with Erica Sweet at the Giant Motos parking lot?
Yes, she
Okay.
responded there.
Was she there with Ronny Walker?
No, she came after we made contact with him.
Okay, but did they make it known that they were together?
Yes.
And during the investigation of this case, did a phone number become relevant to this investigation?
Yes, it did.
Specifically, was it a 305 number that was associated with Erica Sweet?
That is correct.
Why? Why was that phone number relevant to this investigation, ma'am?
That was her phone number, and at that time, I wrote a subpoena on that after, or a search warrant after we revealed that number.
Okay. Did there become something significant about the movement of the phone number as it pertained to Erica Sweet and the phone number as it pertained to Nilexia Alexander on May the 6th of 2022?
Yes.
What was significant about it?
Both of the, and as I explained before, the time in advance kind of bounces off towers and shows direction of travel or as the phone is traveling. And at this case, the phone that we had for Nilexia mirrored the path of travel that we had found on the vehicle in video up to Tampa General Hospital, and also prior to. And that night, we had the phone for the time in advance for Sweet's number mirrored up to the Thorntons in the same direction of travel that the vehicle and the other phone had went. So if you look at a map, it pretty much goes in the same direction.
Okay. So is it consistent with whoever is in possession of the 305 number that is associated with Erica's suite, and whoever is in possession of the victim's phone in this case would have been in sync, functioning, and moving in the same direction. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And as it pertains to Erica's suite, did you attend a sworn statement at the state attorney's office with Erica's suite?
Yes.
And during that sworn statement, did Erica's suite identify Ronny Walker in the Thornton's video?
Yes.
Were you present during the interview of Natal Miranda?
Yes.
Okay. And during that particular interview, was it your understanding that he employed?
Assistant.
What was the relationship with him and the defendant?
He was either the manager or the owner of the Giant Motor Cars dealership, and he employed Ronny Walker at that time.
Okay. And when you interviewed him in this case, was he shown a video from Thornton's?
Yes,
And did he identify Ronny Walker from that video?
he did.
Okay. And did he provide further information about this case as it pertains to Ronny Walker?
Yes, he did.
Do you recall what he said about the vehicle?
He,
Objection to hearsay. And outside
Impeach-
the scope of cross-examination at this
I-
point.
It's impeachment evidence based on Natal Miranda's testimony today, and I can recall her, or I can ask her now. She's still my witness, she's still on the stand, and I haven't rested.
Well, I would agree it is beyond the scope
Yeah.
of cross. Would you prefer that you recall her?
I
And
can-
on that issue, no, however, and I don't know if we need to approach on the impeachment issue, I think that this is improper.
reading right now?
He said it wasn't true. He goes, the day his friend's car was the same day it started. And he didn't see his car after the homicide. First he said it started May 30th, and then she said when it opened in the car. Specifically said, I'm not sure, all I know is it was the same day they started that, which couldn't have been
did in fact interview Mr. Natal Miranda, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and it was it based on that interview that you and other members of Tampa Police Department then took possession of the vacuum cleaner and all these other items? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. At any point during your interview with Robert Creed, did you or Detective Whelan tell Robert Creed to lie?
No.
Now, the defense has talked to you earlier about the fact that, I think they said that Ronny Walker was cooperative. Is that what you remember?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember, in the time that you came in contact with Erica Sweet, what is the name that you associated with Erica Sweet? Is it Erica Sweet?
I believe Erica Corbett Sweet.
Sweet, okay. Did Mr. Walker tell you that his girlfriend's name was Erica Hudson?
Yes.
Okay. And then when you spoke to Mr. Walker specifically about the name of the person that got out of the front passenger seat of his Ford on May the 6th of 2022 around 3 p.m., 3:20, who did he say was that individual?
I believe it was a coworker.
To see. Do you have access to Detective Wheeler's report?
I do not.
Okay. I'm gonna use the report. Or any portions of the report that might help refresh your memory. Do you have access to the report? She's going to be able to go through the report. Yeah, you can search it, yeah. Your Honor, may I press the witness?
Yes, ma'am.
You have access to it. You can search it to see if it will help refresh your memory. Okay. Did, you and Detective Whelan, did you ask Mr. Ronny Walker, who was in the vehicle, in his vehicle with him on May the 6th of 2022, around 3:20 or so p.m.?
Yes.
And who did Mr. Walker tell you he was in the vehicle with?
At that point, he said Day Day.
And did you and Detective Whelan determine who Day Day is?
Yes.
And who is that?
David White?
And ultimately, have you since spoken to Robert Creed in association with this case?
Yes.
And who in fact was in the vehicle with Ronny Walker on May the 6th around 3 p.m.?
That was Robert Creed.
And does Robert Creed, did he tell you that?
Yes.
Okay. And also, was there independent information based on the video footage from Tampa General Hospital and Thornton's?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I have a moment?
Yes,
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Just, that last part was outside the scope. Can I have brief
I'm
questions?
gonna allow you to leave.
It's just one or two questions. Sorry about that, Detective. Ms. Bossett was asking you about the conversation you had with Mr. Walker. No one showed him any photographs or videos from the Tampa General Hospital, correct?
Correct.
And when you're speaking with Mr. Walker, this is about, what, 10 days or so after the shooting, correct?
That is correct.
And so when you all are asking him about going to Tampa General Hospital to pick up his girlfriend, you're not showing him any videos or photographs, you're just asking who would have been in the car with you?
Yes.
Okay, nothing further, thank you. No objection, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor. Thank you.
I have this paperwork.
I'll come back, thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to recess for the day. That's the, remember the court's instructions, we will see you all tomorrow morning. Thank you.
And what made you come forward to actually share your experience about being a juror in this high-profile case?
I actually want to give a message to the family, make them understand that, or at least hear us out saying it's not our fault that Karen Reed was innocent. I mean, the Commonwealth and the investigation couldn't actually prove and show evidence enough to make us convict her of anything. So I want to come out to let them know that we feel for them. Like, I personally feel for them a lot. I'm a mother, and it broke my heart to see the family leaving the courthouse on that day. But it wasn't her fault, and I hope they find who did it.
Let's talk about the verdict and how you guys came to this conclusion.
At first, most of us were on the same page pretty much. We were shocked with so many holes in the case presented to us. But there was some people who had questions, and we were there those 4 days to answer those questions. Where like heated argument, like, oh my God, we disagree and everything. No, but we had some disagreements about this evidence X or Y, and we talked through it. We were very respectful of each other, and we came out to the agreement.
Was there any particular evidence that you guys were really stumped on?
For me, specifically the taillight, we all took a look close to the taillight, and we couldn't make the taillight, the image on the taillight, the original taillight, compatible with the injuries on his body. So having a close look